Hello there. Welcome to episode 1 of the Wealth Tank podcast, Passive Investing for Veterans. Our mission is to educate, inspire, and motivate you to reach your goals of wealth and freedom.
We are your hosts,
Tom Groves
and Noel Walton. We are both military veterans and commercial multifamily real estate investors who have found a path beyond retirement that allows us to live life on our terms. And we want to share those secrets with you on this show. So Tom, start us off. The big question is, what is multifamily real estate investing?
Awesome. Yeah. Now listen, everybody knows that you can go out, you can buy a single family house, you can rent it, you can do it a few times over. And then you're dealing with evictions, you're dealing with toilets, you're going to deal with phone calls at midnight and headaches that you just don't want to really deal with. Well, one of the cool things is that you can invest in large apartment complexes completely passively with hundreds of units that are rented out by a professional team that's put into place that deal with these headaches. So you don't have to. They don't need to be, you don't have to be a millionaire or a billionaire to own any of these properties, but you don't have to be super, super wealthy to own a portion of these deals. And we will get more into that here in a little bit as to why it's such a lucrative strategy, but that'll be later on. Anyway, so Noel, tell us why the Wealth Tank.
That's a great question, Tom. So in 2020, I just made the move from single family home investing, where most people do start, into the multifamily or commercial real estate side of investing. So I was an Army officer, active duty Army officer, stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. Met my first partner, Miles Spetsios, there. He was an Air Force officer. And, we both got together for a coffee one day. We realized that we had the same goals and vision for what we wanted to accomplish. Our first goal being we wanted to really acquire our first apartment deal as partners that year and then grow it into something big. And soon after we met you, Tom. I know you had just recently retired from the Navy after 26 years as a senior chief, right?
Yep.
And did plenty of time there. I just recently retired a year ago and just over 20
Congrats.
total years. Thank you. It's been good. And, then we met our other partner, James May, who was a former Marine and now foreign service. And, that was the point where our team was formed. And we decided, based off the fact that we were all from different branches of the military, that the Joint Chiefs was the perfect name for our team, Joint Chiefs of Real Estate. So that's how it was born.
I like it.
And, so I started, along with that, looking at the history of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and looking back at, World War II during that time, their meeting room since that time has been called the Tank. And that's where they meet together for all their strategy, their major decisions regarding, everything related to the Department of Defense and in wartime and so forth. So I thought this was a perfect moniker as well. Carry that over to our brand, the Wealth Tank Mastermind. And we have a mastermind and podcast. And, we encourage you as well to check out our Facebook group there. We'll be building community there as well. But that's really where the name came from, where it started. And just like the Joint Chiefs of Staff strategize and makes their important decisions there in the Tank and the Wealth Tank, we are going to be equipping you, our listener, with the tools and the strategies that you need to make big decisions for your future financial goals. And so you can create the life that you want. So, Tom, I could tell you from my personal experience that when I started investing in single family homes, it's about 10 years ago. I was a freshly commissioned second lieutenant, just out of, really hitting the streets, getting used to things. And but I was also, on my off time, I was getting into some, biggerpockets.com and, lots of this was just starting out their podcast. I was learning the ropes. I had seen the word syndication, and along with that, some fancy pictures of these like multi-million-dollar skyscrapers and whatever. So this really looked like it was something way out of my league, right? And
sure.
And so I never really gave it a second thought. It was just like, oh, that's intimidating. Oh, that's for millionaires or whatever. And I'm just a lieutenant. You know, I'm just going to go find a home to invest in. So, but you know, for someone else who might be in that same situation, what would you tell them?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things that come to mind right off the bat. One, uh, you as an investor, it doesn't matter where you're at. As we both mentioned, you don't have to be a millionaire or a billionaire to invest in these properties. You can do it through a syndication. And the cool thing about that is that you're investing a little bit of money and you are getting that mailbox money. You're not dealing with the headaches, and you have the ability to own hundreds and hundreds to have partial ownership in hundreds of units and not deal with any of the problems. And you're earning money passively, year after year after year. And there's so many benefits to it. But one other benefit is, if you think about it, you can own a single family home, which in the military, we talk about, we focus on single point failure, where we don't want to be a single point failure. And if you own a single family home, that could be a single point failure, because if you don't have somebody in there, the input of the money that you're receiving is zero. If you own a 100 unit property and you have 5, 6, 7, 8 units that are vacant, you still have money coming in to pay the bills. You still have money coming in to pay off the investors. The mortgage is still being paid off. So
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it's preventative of a single point failure, which is kind of really near and dear to our hearts for so many of us in the military. And you, who are looking to do that, you can do it too. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But that being said, those are just a couple examples so that I mentioned. But Noel, are there any other examples, any other reasons that somebody might want to take care of this awesome strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the first way that many investors are able to invest hands off is through syndication. And, really, for those who don't know, and I'll define this for our listeners here, is that, as we cover more specifics on future episodes, we'll dig more into this. But the basic definition is that we're pooling capital together from multiple investors, and that allows us to cover the down payment, the closing cost, and repair costs, otherwise known as CapEx or capital expenditures for these assets that we purchase. That's the basics. Now, overall for benefits, really, like as I mentioned, hands-off investment. This is perfect if you're a deployed service member or a busy professional, right? And not everybody's going to go quit their job immediately and go invest in real estate. So, if you're a veteran that's recently retired, you're working a full time with a corporate job or a government job, you're going to be busy. Obviously, you got to spend time with the family. You got to prioritize the things that are priorities. So this is a great way to have your capital working for you. You're not having to go out and chase
Absolutely.
down property managers and do all the headache. You can trust that to a great team. So there's economies of scale. That's partially what Tom was mentioning earlier is, multiple units versus 1 or 2 units. You shelter yourself from some of that risk of vacancies. Also with economies of scale, your dollar goes further. You got units all on one location. You bring in your maintenance, your leasing agents, all of them are paid on site. They work there. And so it saves a lot of money with efficiencies that way. There's a reduced risk. As I mentioned, assets are valued partially on comparable properties in an area, but the difference being, from a residential standpoint, all the residential assets out there are valued or appraised based off of the comparable properties in their market.
That's right.
So with these, that does come into play to an extent, and we'll get into cap rates and things like that, more advanced topics later. But primarily the value of these properties is going to be based off of the net operating income. So how high can we get income? How low can we get expenses? That's going to translate to your net operating income, how efficiently we can run that asset. So also you look at, what's the question is, how have these types of assets performed throughout history? Historically, they've been consistently performing even through the '08 housing crash, commercial real estate and multifamily. were affected the least, and they rebounded the fastest. So that's a
Absolutely.
absolutely huge reason. And there's no volatility like you're going to see if you're investing in stock market, ETFs, whatever. You're going to have volatility. You're at the mercy of the market. With
How
these,
about Bitcoin?
yeah, Bitcoin, absolutely.
Jeez.
You're riding the waves, absolutely. So real estate, they say buy real estate and wait. Value will go up, but you also gain cash flow as well in the meantime while you're waiting on your values to increase. So there's
Yeah.
great ways to benefit there. And I really say at the fundamental level, there's always a demand for affordable housing. We have a shortage of affordable housing in this country. And, absolutely there, as long as that demand exceeds supply, and it will continue to do, that's where we're at. There's always a demand. People need a place to live.
Yep.
So really, those are a good number of the reasons why we love this business and why our investors do too. Tom, let's change gears just a little bit and talk to
Yeah.
us a little bit more about our team's mission, our values, and our goals.
Yeah. So JCORE, Joint Chiefs of Real Estate, you know, what do we do? Why do we do it? Those are defined by our missions, values, and goals. You, as an investor, you who are working out there and that are familiar with the military mission, values, goals, we always know these things that are going on. We could repeat them, um, that we just knew them by heart in the back of our mind. And so we, with JCORE, we have that same type mindset, continuing after the military into syndicating and dealing with properties. We focus on creating win-win situations for our investors, where they're able to invest money passively and receive money passively, that mailbox money, which is so amazing and so attainable for all of you who are listening. So it's a win-win for you. It's a win-win for our team because we're able to go in and improve these communities, which in turn makes it a win-win for our tenants and for the communities that we feel led to really just invest in and put our time and energy into. So it's a win-win for everybody across the board. And I think it's huge because we talk about the missions, values, and goals. Is that each one of us we have families that we love. We have children that we want to provide for. We have futures that we want to impact for people around us in our lives. And we believe that you also, as a listener, that you have these same values, that you have people that you want to affect positively, and you have goals that you want to attain. We have goals that we want to attain together with each of you. So, and through all of this is one thing that we feel strongly with, is that we want to provide assistance and support for struggling veterans. Getting out of the military can be a very difficult process. And if you are out of the military, you understand that that's an immediate cutoff from any support structure that you've had for a long period of your life. So there's a lot of people that have struggled through that process. And we've had the opportunity last year as the Joint Chiefs of Real Estate, as JCORE, we had the opportunity of donating $20,000 to a veterans community project based out of Kansas City. And they focus on housing and rehabbing homeless vets by giving them different trades, by educating them and supporting them to kind of help them get back onto their feet so they can go on and do amazing things and reach the goals that they desire in their lives too. So those are just a few things that I'd love to share with you guys, and I'm glad we get to share with you about our mission, our values, and our goals as JCORE. But that kind of sums up why we want to connect with other military members. We love to grow our network, and we love to assist each other through personal growth and development. And through that, we build amazing relationships in teams so we can go on and just have a great, amazing impact on people's lives through our investments and to give back to our community through that process. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Absolutely.
But Yeah. So, Noel, I know that we have briefly covered the story of JCORE, and we're going to be coming back with a lot more in future episodes. But I'd like to take a minute and introduce us as a team. So, Noel, why don't you start out really quick?
Yeah. So, my background, I left home at 18. I enlisted into the Air Force. I was security forces and, made my way up and serving at Andrews Air Force Base, Maryland, in presidential security. Pretty awesome experience for 18, 19 years old, and get out to be able to stand out and guard Air Force One, work inside that hangar.
Yeah.
Was able to get the top secret clearance and was doing all these security roles and a little bit of law enforcement as well. Worked in the SWAT team called the EST, Emergency Services Team. And then the last half of my enlistment, I was part of the special air missions out of Andrews, where we were flying with security teams. We had 3 or 4 man teams that would fly with every aircraft, all the blue and white aircraft that would fly out of Andrews. Pretty awesome experience. I got to fly to 50 or 60 countries roughly in 2.5 years' time. A lot of great experiences, learned a lot, developed a lot as an adult, and and as a person. It was a great experience. Finished my 6 years. I decided I was going to get out, go be in law enforcement. Did that for a couple of years, and on the civilian side. And after about 2 years of that, I decided, I'm not doing 25 years of this. It's just, as fun as it was in a lot of ways, being in my mid 20s, the adrenaline, loved it, but for the long term, I was like, I have to do something different and degree. And when I did that, I decided, hey, I've already got 6 years time in the military. Why don't I just commission back into the military? That's when I found the Army ROTC, and kind of my goal at that point was, hey, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go fly somewhere, because I loved being in the sky. I loved to fly and wanted to be a pilot. So the Air Force was, they had a cutoff of 27 for flight schools. I was like, I'll go for the Army. There's this 33. I can fly helicopters, right? So I went that path, and sure enough, was able to, rank high enough in the order of merit list to get aviation as my branch to commission into. And in 2010, commissioned, got to fly Blackhawks, and spent some time in Hawaii, Texas, Alabama, and finally ended up retiring in 21. But during that time, from 2011 on, from when I started flight school, that's when I really began the single family real estate investing journey at the same time. And so it is totally doable to, start investing in single family homes while you're on active duty. And if that is you and you want to do that sort of thing, I do recommend using your VA loan. That's a great way to start. No money down, but obviously we can talk more on other episodes about different strategies for that. But that was how I got my start. And that's me in a nutshell. Retired now, and I have a beautiful wife and 2 young daughters, and we live in Austria now, actually.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we're all going to get over there and visit you pretty soon. So that's awesome.
Sounds great.
But yeah, I just want to share really quick on who I am. Noel, I know you mentioned it earlier, did 26 years in the Navy. Found myself going into the Navy. Never thought I'd do it. I was a makeshift music major in college before I joined the military. I thought partying and skiing was more important than going to class. So long story short, that didn't last very long. But tried several different things before I went into the Navy, and joined in 1994. My wife and I met, and we have a few kids. And then, fast forward, I'm at the point, I'm almost at 20 years in the military at this point. And I was in Brazil at the point, and I start thinking about investing in real estate. How do you do that? I was like, I'm living in Brazil at this point, working out of the U.S. consulate. And I had talked to my parents about, getting a house to invest in upstate New York. So no clue about what Bigger Pockets was, no clue about what multifamily, had no idea what any of that was even really about. Started out in single family homes, just as you, and it ended up opening a door to more knowledge. Fast forward now again to late, the teens in 2018, 2017. And all of a sudden I met an individual and he introduced me to a great book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which if you're out there and you've read it, you begin, it gets the brain stirring, it gets the fire churning a little bit inside. But if you haven't read it, I encourage you to read that. And we can put a link in here below for Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's a great book. But that's what kind of started me into my multifamily investing journey. Joined some different educational programs and got to start to network with so many different people. And at first, my wife thought I was crazy. She's like, "This is a Ponzi scheme. I don't know what you're doing." But eventually, we educated ourselves and became, really efficient with it. And then retired from the military, and I've been doing this since. So right now, we're back in upstate New York for a little while, and enjoying the cold, and just continuing to build our brand and talk to you guys and bring knowledge and wealth to you guys. So that's a very quick story, but we do have other members on the team who are not just Noel and myself. As Noel said earlier, James May, who is in the Marine Corps. We have Miles Spetsios. Miles Spetsios is currently active duty. He's with Space Force. He's down in Virginia. And he's been banging it up. He's one of our key underwriters. And we've got Joey. Joey is brilliant with our marketing team. We brought him on later into the process. Joey's been fantastic, and we love watching what he's bringing to the team, the growth and the skills and the different point of view that he brings to the team for marketing, to making sure that we can just do amazing things together as a team and bring you, our podcast listener, great wealth and knowledge moving forward. Great wealth and knowledge out of the Wealth Hank podcast. So excited about that. But well, listen, Noel, and to you, our listener, this wraps up episode 1. We want to thank you for taking a listen to the Wealth Hank podcast. If you have a desire to reach out to us, there's so many ways that you can reach us. But you can reach us through our website and set up a phone call if you'd like to chat with us and look at the different resources that are on our website. And that's JCOREinvestments.com, JCORE investments.com. We invite you to reach out to us through our LinkedIn and through our Facebook and Instagram pages as well. And you can download our free passive investing guide. Totally free. We ask that you take it, and it's just a wealth of knowledge for you, so you can be better educated moving forward when you're trying to make great investments and great decisions for yourself in the future. So if you're ready to take that leap, please, reach out to us, utilize the resources on our website. We have a investors club that you can go in. You'll be the first notified on any of the deals that we have coming up, and we can personally connect with you. Please, you take advantage, set up a calendar link with us. We'd love to talk to you on the phone. But listen, we are so excited to be able to bring you guys more knowledge in the future and get to touch base with you. We encourage you, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating. We'd love to get that positive feedback. And again, if there's any time that you'd love to reach out to us, please schedule a call. We'd love to talk to you. But until next time, as the Navy would say, at fair winds and following seas, we'll catch up with you, and thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you.